Oh, hi, Heather.
Hi, Krista.
How are you?
I'm pretty good. Yeah,
Yeah,
life
good.
is reasonably good. We'll
Yeah,
stick
I
with
think
that.
I
Reasonably
would say
good.
that too. I
Yeah,
would say
yeah,
that too. It is sort of at a content level. I was actually thinking of
yeah.
I need to write a post about because I have this program that I've run in the past called Not the Main Character, and I was thinking that I got to write a post about the I can't remember what I was going to call it. Something about the quest for enough. Like
Yeah.
just I don't know. There's so much out there where it's like you always got to learn and grow, and it's like, well, is it ever enough?
Yeah.
Like is it
Yeah.
ever just enough?
Yeah, we have this kind of it is kind of this mythology around we have to it's a capitalist myth like we got to
Ugh,
keep growing and getting
growing.
and I somewhat related. I had this post recently. Somebody posted something about their divorce and they were similar to
Hmm.
me. They were leaving a marriage after 22 years and they were quite
Right.
anxious about it and the disruption of their life and stuff. And I responded with a whole list of things I've done since my divorce 11 years
Yeah.
ago. I took up power tools, building things with wood. I renovated
Hmm.
a house. I sold that house, traveled all over the world. I moved to,
Yep.
across the country and all these things and listed it off. And then I ended up sharing that on Facebook, and somebody's comment is, well, did you find happiness? And I thought, huh,
Hmm.
was all of that a quest for happiness? And so I had to sort of ask myself, was that my quest in trying all
Hmm.
these things, doing all these things post-divorce, even leaving the marriage, was
Right.
happiness the ultimate goal? And I thought, no, I didn't really find happiness. A, it's not
Right.
a permanent state that I can just find. And it wasn't even really my quest. It wasn't like I needed one more thing to make me happy. Like it was like
Right.
what I responded to her is like, well, yeah, I found some happiness, but it was only one of the things I found. I also found my strength and my resilience, and I found I can
Hmm.
survive when I'm not happy. And I found, all of that. That's a much more holistic kind of view of what life is. And it's not
Hmm.
just, and so yeah, that quest for elevation, for more, for growth, all of that is it's rooted in something that feels short-sighted.
Well, and it feels, we were just talking about this earlier, it feels immature to some extent. I came
Yeah.
across someone on the internet the other day who claims that the new theory about the internet is that everyone is 12. And I was like, well, yeah, that would explain a lot of the way people interact on the
Yeah.
internet. Because it's not very nuanced. It's often really black and white. It wants the simple answers.
Yep.
Or it's like got this expectation of perfection and performance that is just not achievable. And then that gets policed really hard. And yeah, like there's this sort of immaturity that I think we've been taught and
Yeah.
are being kept in to some extent by
Mhm.
our favorite villain, capitalism, patriarchal
Yeah.
capitalism. um but yeah, I think it's one of the things that we think is really important in terms of the role of our work in helping people develop. Like we want to get you past some of that.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And I don't know, like maybe just unpack that a little bit about some of the things you've been thinking about.
Yeah. And I think what you're saying, one of the things is that the internet sort of elevates that
Yeah.
adolescence in us to a certain degree because we get easily activated and reactive and, behave like teenagers in some of our reactivity there and some of the way the popularity contests of it all,
Sure.
being hyper focused on image, all those things a lot of us went through in our adolescence and it's it's hard to grow out of that
Yeah.
and like you say the capitalist world the marketing it keeps us there because from that place we'll slip into addictions, whether that's the addictions to the attention economy of internet, being addicted to our
Right.
social media spaces, or in ways that we consume and
Mhm.
overconsume and buy things, all of those are fairly adolescent in nature in terms of not being fully evolved into our adulthood. And this is not
Yeah.
in any way. I remember one time writing about this, and somebody it challenged me. She thought I was insulting adolescents, teenagers, and that's not the
Mm.
case. I'm
No.
talking about stages of development, because there are lots of adolescents that aren't those things. They,
Yeah.
they're I love teenagers. I'm quite
Me
fond of them.
too. They're great.
Exactly. So it's not about that, but it's more about recognizing that there are stages of uh, human development that we all pass through. And I've read several different theories on human development, whether it's things like spiral dynamics or um, Bill Plotkin's work has really become really important to me, and he talks about the wheel of human development,
Right.
eco-soul centric wheel of development. I can't remember his full terminology. Um, and he's one in particular that says fairly strongly that probably 75% of people in our culture, based in the way we've built our culture and our systems, are stuck in adolescence. And so that's what we see showing up online. And quite frankly, the people that design these platforms are online. I think many of them are stuck in that kind of adolescence
I
development.
would agree with that.
So they build the platforms accordingly. And so it is hard to outgrow your culture, just like it's hard to
Yeah.
outgrow your family when that's your source of belonging and safety. To evolve past it and to become a more mature adult is it takes an extra effort, and you become sometimes like you become an outsider to the system and an outsider to your family because
Hmm.
you want to grow and you want to evolve. And you and I talk a lot about this in our work, that we want to work with evolving humans that are continue to grow, that heal some of their old shit, but also challenge the paradigm, the some of the delusions of a more adolescent stage of life. And to do that, we have to disrupt the systems that are keeping us there, whether that's disrupting the capitalist system, the internet as a system, the all of these things that are keeping us blocked from our evolution and our growth. Yeah, we got to take a really careful look at them and careful look at
Hmm.
ourselves and say, what's keeping me from growing up,
Yeah.
essentially.
Well, and I think like our culture, the culture that we have grown up with, especially I want to be fairly specific, you and I here in the West as,
Mhm.
white colored people,
White women, yeah,
white women who have been, enculturated into a system that both oppresses and privileges us all at the same time.
yeah, yeah,
um, but yeah, like age and the losing of beauty, like that's been so villainized to a large extent, right? Like we're both reaching a point where we have passed the young and virile stages
yeah,
of our lives, right? And that has been like people like us have been shuffled aside. Like you, as
yeah,
soon as you stop being able to reproduce, that's it, you're done. Like your relevance to society no longer counts. Um,
yeah.
and I think that perpetuates this adolescent sort of stance too, right? And
Right.
then, you throw in nervous system activation on top of it. And and that's the thing in spiral dynamics, right? It's not a straight line. It's never a straight line. You can spiral back into these
Yes.
less mature states of being
Yeah.
depending on what's going on in your life and how you're feeling threatened, right? Whether that's your safety,
Yeah.
belonging, or identity, right? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I have found myself spiraling and having very adolescent thoughts about things that are going on because I am not attuned. Like my nervous system is going haywire.
And it's hard to be attuned when you're like, to settle our nervous systems is increasingly challenging in a world that feels really wobbly. So
Really wobbly. Yeah.
we're in a poly crisis that is disruptive to all of our lives and our nervous systems. But also, in addition to us individually not having grown up into full adulthood, our communities have not, our
Yes.
families
Yeah.
have not, our
100%.
social support networks have not, our internet is not. So even if we find little pockets online, it's like we're fighting against the tide.
Yeah.
And so some of our work has to be is like, how do we gather? And I've said, talked about that a little bit, having moved to a new place and trying to make new friends and things. It's like
Yeah.
sometimes it feels really challenging to gather the people who are also recognizing some of this tendency to stay in adolescence. And they're still living, many people are still living in that kind of delusion
Mhm.
that has been built up in our culture and aren't ready to disrupt it because it feels really uncomfortable and scary.
Yeah.
And so some of our work, and that's where you and I are really lucky because we end
Yeah.
up drawing together people who are waking up to the delusion, who are wanting to build something new and like something more evolved, more grown up. And I think
Hmm.
some of our conversations around calling in the matriarchy, for example,
Yeah.
is a more evolved version. And to be clear, matriarchy, we're not just talking about replacing men leaders with female
No.
leaders. We're talking
No, no,
about
no.
a ca- culture that has a capacity to care for people in a more healthy way, and that puts the value of all people at the center, especially
Hmm.
children, and
Yeah.
is a collaborative system of building community and culture and so yeah, I think that we have to grow ourselves up and we have to grow our communities up,
Hmm.
and especially to meet this really disruptive moment. It's like we have to fight against the tide, but we have no choice. Like
Yeah,
if we
exactly.
don't, we keep believing in the capitalist delusion that we should hoard our resources and get more and more and more, and the growth, paradigm, everything has to keep growing, and it all becomes cancerous, that growth
Yeah,
eventually, and if, but if we don't resist that, we're facing our own self-destruction. Let's be real.
absolutely. Yeah.
So, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just thinking that, we started talking about how we wanted to find that enoughness. And I think, but now we're talking about, growing. But I guess what's coming to me is that it's not about growing, it's about deepening, right? Like it's
Yeah,
about a grounding and a deepening. It's not about a striving for a thing. It is about connecting to our own humanity in a way that reconnects us to the environment,
yeah,
to the ecology, to the world that we live on, right? And that requires a recognition that we are already enough. Um, and unfortunately, what that means in the capitalist system is that we're really hard to sell to when we believe that.
yep.
Which is why the system disincentivizes that particular stance. So,
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I keep pushing towards more ecological. I'm trying to think of the right framing, but that the web of life, the
yes.
ecosystems in the natural world as a model for how to live, and it's
Mm-hmm.
something that Robin Wall Kimmerer talks about in The Surface Berry, where we're in a circular economy where we're all offering something into it, taking what we need out of it.
Yeah.
But nobody is taking too much. Nobody is hoarding and wasting. We're all
Mm-hmm.
just contributing to the circle of the economy. If you need something, you can take it out of the system, but you don't take more than you need. And if you look at the trees, for example, they don't have like, or even a better example might be the squirrels that are gathering nuts for the
Yeah.
winter. they're only going to gather what they need for that season. They're not going to hoard 10 years worth of nuts because they know that they're going to rot anyways. And one of my favorite birds for this model is the chickadee, actually, which is the
Mm,
chickadee has a remarkable memory. Apparently, they stash little stashes of food all over the forest,
yeah,
their little area of the forest. And they have a remarkable memory for remembering where these stashes are in the wintertime. But then comes spring, they actually lose that memory. Their brain changes and releases the memory of where they'd stashed all of
right,
the seeds. So then they have to grow another, they build up resources again over the summer and stash it. And then so that in the wintertime they remember. And then it's this cycle of remembering and forgetting so that they
right,
never fall into this trap of over resourcing and
right.
greed that is so common among human
Yeah,
people. And that's what we're talking about outgrowing to
yes,
some degree is like, how do we get to that level of maturity where we understand what it truly means to be part of the web of life and that is
yeah,
in a way that's healthy and contributing and reciprocal and grounded.
yeah. Well, and so long as we continue to place value on an inanimate thing like capital, so long as that remains our value, it will be very, very difficult to re-engage in the web of life. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
until our value system changes to
yeah,
actually value life in all its forms, um, yeah, we're doomed to repeat these destructive cycles that we built for
yeah,
ourselves, unfortunately. Um, and yeah, I do feel like it's starting to happen. I feel like there's rumbles. I feel like we are getting to a point where we're all starting to recognize that we can't actually go on the way we have been. Like it's
yeah,
just like we're running out of options in this particular
yeah,
system of things, which on the one hand is like gut droppingly terrifying because it's all we've known. And on the other hand, is feels a bit like a relief because it's like, okay, good. Now maybe we can move on. Now maybe we can
yeah,
readjust our value system
yeah,
and value things like care over and above profit, right?
yeah,
Um, so yeah, so it's again, we always sort of circle back to this idea of the throughutopia. Um,
yeah,
it's the through part that's hard, right? It's the through part that feels chaotic, that feels unsafe um, while you're in it. But we are moving towards something,
yeah, yeah.
and it may not look the way that we think that it should.
Or that we're used to it looking like we've got to,
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
change our
Yeah.
paradigms. Yeah.
Totally. Totally. But the potential for it to be really rich and life giving, I think, is very much there. And that's the
Yeah.
part that excites
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. Yeah. I listened to a couple of podcasts this weekend that are related, and I'll link them in the comments. But one of them was this guy he works in climate change activism and
Mm-hmm.
research. And he did this study and found that there are actually far higher numbers of people who are concerned about climate change than who aren't. He says, we
Right.
have the numbers. Like we have the, the what do you call it? Um
The tipping
critical
point
mass.
thing. Yeah. Critical
The
mass.
critical
Yeah.
mass. He says it's there. We just
Yeah.
have to figure out how to mobilize it because I don't know
Sure.
how they did the study, and I didn't listen to the whole podcast, so I don't know all of his research behind it. But he says that's actually really good news.
Mm-hmm.
We have people on board. The other podcast I was listening to, and it's taking a different um, stream, but
Yeah.
related to what we're saying, I was talking to a woman who wrote a book on the empire of AI.
Oh,
And she was
yes.
talking about how AI being built as an empire, she says, what we're doing right now is we're building AI as a rocket ship, but what we really need are bicycles. She says, we've got to change our paradigm from
Yeah.
that endless growth paradigm of capitalism. You build the biggest, best, and then you keep growing and expanding its
Right.
capacity Instead, she says, we got to take a step back and say, you know what? AI is really good for these specific task specific things, like
Yeah.
developing medical devices, for example,
Yeah.
or she had a couple examples that I don't remember. She says, let's build the bicycle and put it to use where it's needed. And it actually felt like
Right.
quite a hopeful message that she was offering. It's like, let's harness this incredible capacity we've built around AI and harness it for these tasks specific. And one of them can be addressing climate change. Like AI can actually help us figure that out
Yeah, sure.
instead of turning it into everybody has to have access to it and it's changing everything. And it's like, no, let's learn to pull back the reins. And that's pulling back the reins of capitalism, really, to
Yeah.
say, look, we did it that way for enough years. We've caused enough destruction. Now let's do it this
Hmm.
way instead.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think when we look for these people and these voices that are talking about the Throughtopia, they're
Yeah.
there and
They're
we'll find
there.
them. We
They're
keep
there.
finding more and more of them that are stories of actual success in helping us shift this paradigm. And
Absolutely.
so even though I sometimes get discouraged about how, like you say, everybody on the internet is 12 years old, and some days I'm like, when are we going to grow up? It's like maybe there's more grown-ups out there than I recognize because those people are not spending all their time on
That's
social
right.
media. They're out there
That's
doing
right.
important things.
True. Yeah. Yeah, I think we're really in a position where we through our work for sure are inviting people to not grow this way, but to grow deep. Like let the roots go deep because yeah, it's like a tree that
Yeah.
its root surface is just on the surface. Like it's gonna fall over. It's got nothing to hold on to.
Yeah.
So we gotta go deeper and we
Yeah.
have to you know and not be so concerned about yeah like growth in that unhinged unregulated growth for growth's sake kind of way because
Yeah.
it's shallow and it's immature and it's not getting us
Yeah.
anywhere. It's having us just spin our wheels over and over again.
And we have to let go of some of our fatalism that assumes
Hmm.
we're doomed and this is all there is and we can't
Yeah.
imagine any other way of being. It's like,
No.
no, that's not true. And it's
Nope.
again, it's kind of the doom and gloom. Going back to what we said at the beginning about the adolescent brain is,
Uh-huh.
like good, inclined towards high drama of like this is the end of the world
Uh-huh.
at this moment. And now it's time to recognize, you know what, we've survived a lot of things. We have built some lot of wisdom and resilience into humanity. Let's
Yeah.
rely on that instead of letting the
Yeah.
12-year-olds run the internet.
Instead of letting the 12-year-olds and ourselves run the whole show.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, we're gonna get into a little more of that on Thursday when we start Become a Grounded Guide, module 3.
Yeah.
There's still time to join that if you want. And we get way deep into lots of this stuff in our Holding Space Foundation
Yeah.
program. And that's starting up again in October. I am in the process of sort of updating our pricing on that. We are moving towards the our justice, fair, and equity pricing on that we have sort of adopted as our own business model as one of the ways that we are trying to be more human centered and less focused on all of that sort of stuff. So,
Well, and yeah, move us out of we feel
yeah,
really stuck in the capitalist system because
very
we got to pay
much.
the bills too, and yet we're trying to create alternatives where we can build equity into systems and build more community and yeah, be less focused on
Yeah,
yeah,
totally. And
the dollar.
I feel like our community has responded really, really well to that. There are folks like if they can afford to pay for someone else's registration, they can do that through the justice option of our program. It includes the fair pricing plus the amount for the equity pricing. So you
Yeah.
can help someone else take this program.
Exactly.
Um,
If you happen to have the financial
if
privilege,
you have the
please help
means, and
people.
if you don't, then the equity pricing is there for you, and we are happy to have you have you through. If the fair pricing is all is what you can handle, then that is also totally amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I know, like, as stressful as it is for us sometimes, we really do try to lean into sort of this mutual, not aid, but like mutual benefit kind of thing, where it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. The circular economy that
yeah, the
Ronald
circular
Timmer
economy
talks
as
about.
much as
Yeah.
is possible. So
Yeah.
yeah, we're trying to do that in our own little ways, for better or worse. It works sometimes and it doesn't work other times, and we roll with those punches too.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think, I know we've both been feeling really kind of a renewed energy around this work and its importance and what we have to offer to the world. And yeah, we would be delighted for you to join us
Come on
in
board in
whatever
some
way that
way.
looks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Alrighty. Okay, that's enough yakking.
All
Um,
right.
until next time.